right amount of sarcasm, the right amount of wit, and a scoundrel can get out of any situation. And that's something that I think has been really fun to play in games like Red Dead Redemption, Red Dead Redemption 2. Game Informer has a new video out which we're going to watch. This is amazing to me because their videos, Star Wars Outlaws, basically feels like Red Dead Redemption in space. And I just did a video, I don't know, a week or two ago, talking about how I looked at Star Wars Outlaws as my Red Dead Redemption 2 in space. That's what it looked like to me. It was a combination of many elements that I like from that game in a Star Wars environment, and I'm on board for all of that. So they've got a video out this morning that I want to go react to because it just sounds awesome. I'm glad to see other people with similar perspectives. It's going to be a fun time. If that is absolutely the case, this will be another one where I get 400, 500 hours in through multiple playthroughs. I absolutely love Red Dead Redemption 1, Red Dead Redemption 2, more than 1, but just because it's got more polish and everything else. And everything I've seen about this game so far screams that it's going to be a good time, a polished time. We're going to react. Don't forget, if you're new here,
There's no better way to
like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Never miss an update. Daily streams here and on Twitch at 11 a.m. Central.
There's no better way to display the magic of a space western than those moments where Star Wars focuses on its underworld. Perhaps then we shouldn't have been surprised when, after wandering the open world of Star Wars Outlaws, we found ourselves feeling like we'd returned to the Wild West deserts of the original Red Dead Redemption. The team at Ubisoft Massive.
Now, the thing I think it's interesting here is they say Red Dead Redemption like the original one, which is a little bit different than 2. It has a similar scope in the way it plays out, and they just refined everything from 2. Everything I've seen here, though, looks absolutely amazing, guys. I am just so stoked for this. And one of the things I love here, too, is I'd like to focus on the fact that this is Massive, who is a studio that has made The Division 1 and 2 and the most recent Avatar game. These are not people who make Assassin's Creed games. So I know there are some elements of those here, but I'm really interested in seeing what Massive has brought to the table because I really like the Division 1 and 2. I have not played the Avatar game yet. It looks absolutely amazing. Everything I've seen about this game looks absolutely amazing. It's going to be good.
Have repeatedly emphasized that Star Wars Outlaws is all about fulfilling a scoundrel fantasy, and that means everything, including the open world, is built to fulfill that dream. Our staff writer Dustin Bailey had a hands-on 4-hour demo with Star Wars Outlaws, and in the time he had with it, was stunned by just how organic the devs have managed to make this scoundrel fantasy feel. You might overhear a whisper in the cantina that points you towards some lucrative score at a hidden base out in the wilds, giving you an actual story-driven purpose for your exploration. But let's take a deeper dive into what Dustin actually saw, and fair warning, this does include some minor spoilers for the game's story. The demo opened with our protagonist, Kay Vess, making a rough landing on Tashara and escaping waves of bandits in a speeder bike chase. This served as the introduction to the adrenaline meter. This meter charges up in combat and, when it's full, lets you briefly pause the action to mark enemies and instantly take them down with an impressive display of gunslinging. Sounds a bit like Red Dead Redemption, eh? This chase led us to the city of Mirogana, which serves as the central hub for both Tashara's underworld activity and the in-game action in this area.
Love it.
Here the objective was making contact with Gorak, head of the Pike Crime Syndicate's operations on the planet. There seems to be multiple ways of making this meeting happen. You can either purchase an invite from a shady seller out front, or sneak into his office above the cantina.
A little bit of platforming to sneak in.
Whatever you choose to do, Gorak is not very impressed by your sudden intrusion, and we were soon on a mission from another underworld figure to infiltrate Gorak's base and steal a bit of intel. This double-dealing is exactly the sort of stuff a good story about a lovable outlaw is built around, and Star Wars Outlaws is filled to the brim with it. Eventually, the intel at Gorak's base confirms that one of his lieutenants is plotting a betrayal. You can either go along with their scheme or report back the info to Gorak himself. We chose the latter, which gave us enough influence with the Pikes in the game's faction system to get free reign of their bases, which is pretty cool. That's just the introductory story mission, but this is kind of the loop you'll see throughout Star Wars Outlaws. You'll find a mission, a number of ways to complete it, a few factions who'll take note, either positively or negatively, of your accomplishments, and you'll get a reward for seeing it through.
That's awesome.
Every mission we played through was neatly tied to both the faction system and the story of Kay's journey through the underworld.
This honestly sounds like a lot of the elements that Anthem had in it. I know people love to hate on Anthem, but the gameplay loop was really good there. How the live service was handled was not. But the gameplay loop was you had a hub, you would come back to, you would go out to do missions, come back to the hub, you would have factions that would be influenced, then you could buy your upgrades and then go out on new missions. That being said, I also see elements of Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor here in that we're going to be traveling across multiple planets in a ship. So you have that aspect. Plus we get the town hub that you saw in Red Dead Redemption 2, or the camp hub. In this sense, I think the ship is her, camp hub, and then the planets are, where you go to do training and stuff and find quests. So the game overall looks to me like a nice blend of different things. I'm really happy about that.
Which makes the plot feel more cohesive as a whole. The high-level intention was never to force you to do something from a checklist, creative director Julian Geraghty says. It was always to go out there, try and track down this intel that you've heard about this one expert who can maybe help you with your speeder. On the way, you'll see a ship crash land, and then you go and check it out, and things happen one after the other, and it feels completely natural.
That was Chris.
Because it's you deciding to do those things in the order that you want to do them. So it feels very natural, and it feels very ingrained within not only the world that we built, but also the fantasy of the Outlaw.
The fantasy
Outlaws does
of
a
the
fantastic
Outlaw.
job of making sure the activities you get don't feel like a checklist. Maybe that'll change deeper into the game. Once you've found a ton of intel and have all...
I guarantee it will change as you get deeper into the game. Every game you play, doesn't matter what you're doing, once you've repeated the same steps across 5, 6, 7, 10 different types of missions, people recognize game loops, and it's very obvious in games like Red Dead Redemption 2. It's very obvious in games like Dragon's Dogma 2 was the game I meant to say, with the combat. Because once you've learned like the 3 main abilities, you know how to play the game, and you're going to be repeating some combination of those 3, 5, 7 abilities or whatever across every single fight that you have in the game, and you're going to have lots and 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 lots of fights. So once you know that going in, you'll enjoy Dragon's Dogma 2. But at the same time, almost everyone who plays that game recognizes that game loop, and it can get tedious after a while. So we'll see long term if they've done this in a cool way. Like, I've done 2 playthroughs of Red Dead Redemption 2, and I love all of the quests. Sometimes I think that when you're doing the little white quests, gray quests, they're not the main quests, they're the side quests. Sometimes those can feel a little fetchy sometimes. But they still have good voice acting and good mocap and everything else, so they're still fun to do. But overall, I think that a little bit of repetitiveness is natural in every single game, and people are going to come across it. But when it's done well enough, you'll still enjoy it. It's just like, yeah, okay, this is not a main quest, but we'll do it because it's it's fun to do. It's not something we want to leave by the wayside.
All kinds of potential missions on your map, but the objectives we found were varied and rewarding enough that we kept wanting to see more. There are some really cool ways you can get to the missions which feel really immersive.
By the way, what they're talking about here, the multiple ways to complete missions, is a big deal, because that's one of the things that I don't like about the Assassin's Creed games, is at some point the side missions get tedious for sure, because they're so repetitive. So giving multiple options to go in and complete things, the faction system being tied in all of this, that's a nice touch to separate it out.
You might hear a radio message on your speeder, bike's police scanner. Maybe you can give a stranger some credits in return for information about tunnels on the other side of the map, or you might even be challenged to a race by a speeder bike enthusiast.
Ooh.
It really helps that it all ties back into some of the central rewards too. Remember how we got free access to the Pike base after warning Gorak of that betrayal? An hour later we were sneaking through a Pike outpost trying to steal an equipment upgrade, but we got caught and had to shoot our way out. All of a sudden, our reputation with the Syndicate was shot, and we were no longer...
That was an A-Wing, yes?
Shoot our way out.
Yeah, we got an A-wing and a TIE bomber or a TIE fighter. Hard to tell, but the chassis of a TIE and a partial chassis. Well, I guess partial pass chassis of both an A-wing and a TIE fighter there. God, I love the time period that this is set in, man. The A-wings were so much fun to fly in the X-wing Alliance games, man. That game, not the X-wing Alliance games, that game in particular, the X-wing series, the A-wings were always fun to fly. Star Wars Squadrons did a good job too. The A-wings were pretty responsive. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand.
All of a sudden, our reputation with the Syndicate was shot, and we were no longer welcome on their
Oh, wow.
territories.
So a single mission, you screwed it
While
up. Now
Dashara
they
fits
hate
the
you.
mold of a traditional open world, the big open field dotted by points of interest, the locations in Outlaws also offer quite a nice bit of variety in structure and
Very
scale.
nice.
We spent some time on the planet of Kijimi, an icy planet first introduced in Rise of Skywalker, and this map is predominantly set in one large town. It's still open-ended and there are still side quests to undertake and optional areas to explore, but it's much more constrained compared to the desert you ride around in on Tashara.
I actually predicted this probably a month ago. We talked about this because I said if you look at the way Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor did it, especially Jedi Survivor, you've got your main planet that you go to where the cantina is located, and that's your base. And then that planet is a big open world planet that you will explore chunks of each time you come to the planet. But you are always going to come to the planet, then go away to another planet where it will have a limited scope mission. So you will have like a city and the area surrounding, or you'll have a ruins and the area surrounding, or it might just be a big environment with something centrally located in it. But it will always only ever be one location on that planet. And then you will come back and you will be back to the open world of that planet, and you'll be able to go explore a new area with the abilities that you got from the small planet. But that one big planet always serves as your hub. So it sounds like they've done the exact same thing here, where you're just going to be going off and doing missions in those places. So I don't know if we can expect 5 hours, 10 hours per place, but whatever it is, I know in Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, you go back to each place multiple times with the whole abilities thing. So you'll get some abilities, come back, get some abilities, come back, get some abilities, So you're always going to explore the areas you've explored once before because you're to open more of it up with the abilities you get. That part I don't know if it's here yet, but we have seen that she's going to be seeking out the NPCs who offer training. Because there's no I believe this is the one that has no levels, if I remember correctly. This doesn't have any levels, and you're seeking out the skills from the NPCs that you find and hear rumors about. You have to do quests for them and everything else, and unlocks all the abilities. It sounds like a really cool system.
Kijimi, the frozen wasteland, that's a city, but it's the city of thieves, Garrity explains. It's a large city, it's incredibly detailed, and it feels completely different to play.
Sweet.
Akiva, lush jungle with rivers and lakes. You'll find an upgrade for your speeder that'll allow you to drive on water, so that opens up the world in a completely different way as well. Every planet has a different size, speeder that'll allow you
You'll find an upgrade for your speeder that allow you to drive on water. Dude.
to drive on water, so that opens up the world in a completely
I just got my
different way
water
as
jets
well.
for No Man's Sky.
Every planet has a
yesterday.
different size, a different approach, and a different gameplay kick to it. These opportunities for exploration also extend to the space above each planet, which have their own operational objectives to complete.
This looks amazing.
The space above Kijimi takes you through the tunnels of a stellar storm cloud,
Oh.
with winding paths and roving bandits to deal with as you search for valuables among derelict
Dude.
ships and space stations.
This reminds me of the Battlestar Galactica miniseries, right? When they have to go into the weapons depot that's in the middle of that storm area, and they find was it Leoben? I think was his name, the first Cylon they find that, and the commander's down there with him. Man, That was a good episode. I mean, the whole I loved Battlestar Galactica, but I'm just remembering that particular scene because of the storm crackles and everything else around the ships. This looks really, really cool, guys. I'm so I'm so excited. I'm caffeinated, medicated, and ready for Star Wars Outlaws, everybody.
The story has you visiting each of these planets in order to recruit various specialists to help you pull off a big heist towards the end of the game. Past a certain point in the story, you're free to complete these planets in any order you want.
Cool.
Garrity explains that each planet has a self-contained story, but you can choose to press pause on that plotline and go pursue another planet's story whenever you want. The story will track that, and you'll still have your own story with the different syndicates running in the background as well.
Okay.
When we mentioned at the start that our hands-on time with Outlaws open world reminded us of Red Dead Redemption, Garrity surprised us by referencing another open world game. It's super interesting that my biggest reference was Ghost of Tsushima, which is more on the Kurosawa side of inspiration than the Western, the John Ford side of the inspiration for George
We did
Lucas'
Ghost of Tsushima a couple months back. That was a
Red Dead
great
Redemption
game.
is phenomenal because it treats the world as a world, not as a checklist of activities that are repeated often. But I think that Ghost of Tsushima, what I loved about it was this purity of having a player fantasy and really leaning into it. This is the story, the world, the character. Everything fits together.
That's
with
great
the
praise.
gameplay guiding everything. That's the
great
fantasy
praise.
of you are a samurai ninja in Japan. That's one of the guiding lights for this. The fantasy in this case is that you're a galactic outlaw, and that's how the open world design works here. You're learning about opportunities for scores both big and small, and taking advantage of them when your moment comes along. By the end of our 4 hours with Star Wars Outlaws, all we wanted to do was play more. Star Wars Outlaws feels less like the collectathon checklist you've maybe come to expect from Ubisoft, and instead like an open-ended canvas for more interesting stories and missions to take place. We cannot wait for this game to release on August 30th for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X.
Oh yeah, I'm so ready. I will be playing this on the PS5. I decided the other day. I've always had, you can always do on the Series X or something else, but I think this time around because I've been doing a ton of stuff on the PS5, I'm looking for a good screenshot to end on. Since I'm doing so much else on the Series X right now, I'll put the PS5 through some loops. So I'm going to be playing the absolute crap out of Star Wars Outlaws when it comes out, everybody. I've already been leaning hard into the overviews and everything else. I tend not to create pre-launch guides because I'm not playing the game manually and I don't like to go source a bunch of other people's videos. It's one thing to do, a reaction video, but I don't like to do all that. I like to wait till the game's out, till I have my hands on it, and then I'll start making content around it. So, once we get into it, I'm going to start creating some guides and everything else around it. But in the meantime, it's just going to be news, reaction coverage, and everything else, preparing myself and getting through the list of games that I'm going to be playing in August as I prep for the launch of Star Wars Outlaws. Hopefully we'll see you there. Daily streams here and on Twitch. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Check out the Discord, all the socials. Links are below. May the Force be with you, everybody.